surprisingly like very, very suspect of Hurts's ability to like actually like skillfully lead this team
Well, there's
to
a lot of
anything
reasons to be suspect.
significant.
Like
Yeah,
to be fair, like there's not really anything we
Yeah.
can go off of. Like we got 4 games out of him. He played well. Like or
Yeah.
he had shining moments, but like his stats were pretty bad. I don't know.
Let's get on with it. Welcome back to the Philly Escape Podcast, episode 12, where our animations don't work or they're too slow. Here we go. So you got the 2 Eagles emblems up here, so logos. So that means we're talking more Eagles than Sixers today. We'll warm up a little bit with the Sixers. We'll talk about their offseason moves, but we're talking all training camp, some takeaways on the offense, some takeaways on the defense, and then Sirianni. Are you sipping the Sirianni Kool-Aid? Are you attacking rest, rehab, and everything else? And then we'll go through a little bit of lightning round takes. So I'll just go through some questions. I'll ask the questions. You guys give me the answers. Simple as that. So welcome back, guys. We're ready to jump right into it.
it's good to be back. Let's do this.
It is good to be back. Feels good. I'm sipping on some wine, digging into my Italian roots. I think Flay's got some Trulies over there.
Yeah, I got the rosé.
Jersey red for days. Actually, Jersey blue today. So we're
sipping
feeling
on
good.
a bog by Cape May Brewery.
All good
Hashtag
stuff.
not sponsored.
We're really repping
Again,
Jersey.
never
Cranberry
sponsored. Go back to the last pod. Got 200 views, so we're really feeling ourselves. So, yeah, right. So as an intro, right? As an intro, Anthony Harris was interviewed this week by WIP. One of his favorite shows was The 100. So shouts out to Anthony Harris for liking one of my favorite shows. Shout out to Kasprek. I know Kasprek loves that. Best pandemic show in the past year. What do you guys got? Could it either be could be pandemic defining, like it was like a big thing that came out during the pandemic, or just the best show that came out in general?
I don't know if it's appropriate because it came out so long ago, I feel like. But during the pandemic, I think I watched like 17 seasons of Hell's Kitchen and like
17 seasons.
16 Survivor. Hell's Kitchen is ultimate.
We were fiending hard, yeah.
Dude, every time I went to your house, you guys were watching it. Every time.
Every time Gordon Ramsay's like, "This is wrong."
Tough to resist the Ramsay.
So Jackson went binge watching approach. Okay, I like it. Brits?
Honestly, I don't really know. I can't think of anything that.
All right, get out the kitchen. Get out the kitchen.
Besides the Marvel stuff, I haven't watched anything else.
That's fair. I mean, that's probably my answer is Loki. So
Loki's.
I mean, that just came out the last month. I'm still not even done.
Well, you haven't finished it?
No, I'm doing one of those things where I got to watch it with Erica, so it takes like a month to watch 6 episodes. Yeah, that's a problem. It's a big problem.
Our podcast would be good to binge watch.
I've been watching Sopranos. I mean, for me, that I know it's old news, but you know. So I'm
those were my early days of the pandemic. That was my binge watch. I got through it probably 2 weeks.
I gotta beat this series out before The Many Saints comes out.
Yeah.
How deep in are you? I also watched Sopranos over.
I'm in season 2 again. I know I got to season 4 and then I stopped and then I had to dive back in. That was
You're gonna have to pick up the pace.
So
I know.
basically at the end, right? What ends up happening?
All right.
All right. So top 3 for me: Loki, Tiger King, which is the pandemic defining one for
Tiger
me.
King. Don't even.
Oh my, unbelievable, and then Cobra Kai, the underdog in all of those.
Didn't watch that. But I heard it was.
Thought it was going to be terrible. Actually, amazing in my opinion. So there you go. Some top shows for you guys to go out and watch. All right. So like I said, we're going to warm up, get back into it with a little Sixers talk before we go right into the Eagles. Guys, let's talk about some of the off-season moves. We got Bummond moving over to the Sixers, referring back to some Joel tweets when Drummond was at his, in his Piston days. But 1-year deal, vet minimum. It's basically, we were talking about this earlier. It was basically a swap for Drummond and Lakers getting Howard at this point. So swap there. He's a backup to Joel. One of the best rebounders in the league. Dropped off over the years, but can't dislike this move. I think we're all pretty up on this.
It's an upgrade.
What do you guys like? How do you guys like this upgrade? As Brits has said,
as long as the tension between him and Embiid is only for show, kind of like WWE style, just not.
It's gotta be.
Yeah, I think once they're together on a team, they're just gonna be like, "Listen, dog, it's all in the past," and
Well, I
just
mean,
be done with it.
It'd be impossible for Drummond to even say anything. He's basically like Joel just has to say, "Yeah, well, you're my freaking backup now." So,
yeah. If anything, he owns them
Yeah, I
even
mean, it
more
doesn't
at
help.
this
It
point.
doesn't help the situation, though. You still want Drummond to go out there and just perform.
Well, obviously
So,
he will.
for the money, it's a great signing by Morey. So, thumbs up.
I think you don't want Drummond as your starter, which I think a lot of last year Drummond did have to play starter for the Lakers, so the Lakers fans weren't so happy with him.
Yeah.
But I think as a backup center, he's definitely good, especially for the minimum. That's pretty cheap for Drummond. I think picking up Niang, who shot over 40% from three, is a good four. He's like a good backup four. I think he'll be a lot better than Mike Scott was for us this year. I also think Jaden Springer could, maybe be the next Maxey, a little bit of a steal in the draft that we got.
We'll look into that too, as far as what they got for their draft picks. I mean, overall, you guys are feeling good with Drummond, just basically an upgrade to Dwight, just kind of filling his spot.
The thing is, I think he'll do as good as Dwight. He'll get the same amount of rebounds. He just won't get a foul every 2 possessions.
So that's a plus,
So basically, he could just stay in the game and just be Dwight for a longer period of time. Okay, cool.
Which will be better for Embiid in the long run. So
So he doesn't have to
curious.
Give him some rest.
I had a thought today, guys, because I was curious because I know a lot of people in Philly are saying this about, it's going to be tough if you're all in, and I'm going right to Simmons here, just so you guys know, on the trade talk. If you're all in on Ben being traded for Dame, we don't want to lose Matisse and Maxey. So I'm curious, with some of the draft picks and also some of the acquisitions that we're making right now, if some of those are possibly just for future trade bait to try to maybe save ourselves. Because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to Thibault in Australia. He's killing it right now. He's looking amazing.
He's looking really good.
I saw that.
Offensively too, not just defensively.
Not just defensively, which he's making a good case to help us in a trade package. Which before the draft, say it ain't so, Joe.
Well, I think
I was just going to say, do you guys think that what Morey had in mind going into the draft is that he was going to make attempts to trade, knowing that he did buy that pick? I forget which pick it was, but just stocking up on some of those.
It was the one we got Chuck Basie with.
I think he obviously tried to. Are you talking about Ben? Trading Ben?
Yeah, I mean stocking up on that pick just so that he could,
I mean, I think he tried. I think he looked for trades during the draft, but I really doubted. I didn't have high hopes that we would already have dealt him by the draft.
I had an interesting. Sorry, Jackson, you go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say that I think what Morey sort of is doing right now, I don't think the second round pick is necessarily for trading. You know what I mean? I think maybe that's just because we don't have a lot of money to sign players, and just it's good to have backups, for the future. But I think at this point, trading for Dame maybe not. It might not be possible. I think maybe the price is too high for Dame. But I think what he's trying to do is set the price high because we've been hearing all these crazy rumors of these ridiculous trade packages that he wants.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to set it high. And all these I saw people talking about it on Reddit. It's people don't want the package now. You know what I mean? They're not willing to pay $2, $2 on the dollar for Simmons. But I think that in the future, now that free agency is over and they don't have as many options, they might come crawling back and be willing to pay maybe not as much as he was offering, but give us good return for him.
There's also the potential that season gets going. Let's be honest. I mean, if we traded Ben last season, mid-season, his value was super high because he was killing it at that point.
Yeah.
It was only really the playoffs where he really falls off, and I feel like that is where it exposes the mental side of his game more than anything else.
And I I think we'll wait for his value to go up, and then it's like these teams are going to get more desperate, and his value is going to go up. It's going to eventually
Exactly.
reach a point where it's like makes sense to trade him.
Especially once you get to the trade deadline where it's like, okay, that potential trade could potentially go away and you can't get Ben anymore. You know,
Yeah,
where those teams become more desperate. I think to your point, Jackson, I think Morey's setting the stage. He's like, this is the expectation. I'm not just going to give this guy away, for nothing. So,
Yeah, and at this point, people are like, "Whoa, that's too much." And then like, their star gets hurt, something changes a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, we'll actually pay that."
So I saw something interesting within like 2 days. I saw 2 Bleacher Report notifications pop up on my phone. One was the Sixers asking price for Ben, which I think was an all-star and like 4 first-round picks or something of that equivalent. And then no less than 2 days later, I saw the Sixers are open to keeping Ben Simmons for the start of the season.
It was all just a ploy in my mind. It was just a ploy.
Yeah, I mean, you got to ask high always.
Yeah.
I think it's all just Morey setting the stage, like.
Yeah, I think he's putting his feelers out there. I think he got that draft pick and he was like, all right, let me set the stage of like what I want. I don't think he even expected to even hear anything back. And so he's just kind of, he's playing the game a little bit, setting the stage. Once we get to midseason, like we've talked about in the past couple of pods, we'll sell him when he's at his highest value at that point. But right now,
and at this point, he's going to say he wants double what he actually really wants for him. You know what I mean?
Right. He's setting the high, the reach goal so that, we can meet somewhere in the middle, hopefully. I mean, that's at the end of the day, just so that we get something for him.
I'm just worried that, like, I mean, do you really see, like, if we do trade him mid-season that, like, we get Dame or something like that? I doubt we get, like, a mid-season trade that good.
So there's different factors that could hold into that because Dame, as a player, wants to win championships. Like, you can't discredit that. So if he knows that midway through this season he's not going to win a championship with the Portland, the Blazers. Yeah. So, he has a lot more sway to kind of shake things up. I just don't know if he'll be there still.
I think it has to be dependent upon the scenario.
No, because I feel like most of the suitors who are in for Dame have now kind of gotten their point guards. Like the Lakers got Russ, the Knicks got Kemba today or yesterday.
And we might be looking more and more attractive as the days go on.
Exactly. There's only so much contract space to move around.
I don't know why he wouldn't want to come here, honestly.
And in the scenario that, Portland's not doing so well mid-season, where they're like, okay, we're not going to make the playoffs anyway. It's not going to make much of a difference, which they probably would with Dame, let's be honest.
Yeah, maybe
it's looking more appealing at that point to make the trade where Ben has his value back. I mean, you got to.
I would imagine that organization respects him enough that if he came in and was like, "Listen, like we know it's not going to happen here. Like,
if you love me, let me go."
Yeah, my years are few.
I feel like we need him. We need Damian Lillard to, like, literally, ask to come here.
Make the ask himself.
Yeah.
He's also, I mean, it's. Fanatic pointed this out today. Shout out to Cuz. But he's in Tokyo right now playing in the Olympics. He's probably the last thing on his mind right now.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying, as the days go on.
Either way, something that Ben's not doing.
He's gonna have to come.
And real quick, I wanted to say, like, as the days go on, it's starting to look more and more like we might have been for the beginning of the season, and that we have replaced Howard. We've sort of replaced Mike Scott. The one player that we haven't replaced is Danny Green, and it's starting to look like we might not replace him before the season starts. That, I think, opens up for Korkmaz, who just re-signed, to maybe take his spot, or Thibault to take his spot, or maybe even Maxey to get more minutes. And I'm wondering who you guys think is going to like make that next big step up next season for us.
I don't see why there's any reason we couldn't see all 3 of them. I mean, Korkmaz, he got a good deal, I feel like. He could have got more money pretty much anywhere else.
It's a great deal for us.
Get him. Yeah, I mean, $5 million a year, basically.
$5 million a year for 3 years, $15 million for the deal. Yeah.
I mean, he's never been the perfect player, but I think, like, when you look at his progression year after year, he's always shown improvement, and I feel like we might as well keep letting that ride as long as we can. He's still only 23, so he's got a lot of time before he hits the prime. Maxey and Matisse, I mean, like I said, Matisse is pulling it in the Olympics, and I expect Maxey to also continue. I see he's been putting in the work on Insta. So,
yeah, I mean, with Korkmaz, it's kind of like low risk, high reward with what you're signing him for. So I feel like throwing him in the rotation, trying everybody out in the season, and then once you get to playoffs, you have to find who that starter is. But
You know what's the
What were you
crazy
saying,
part
Brits?
is that he like obviously it is a good deal like for nowadays NBA, but like he's making $15 million and he pays like 10 minutes a game.
The crazy
Like
thing is
it's
he's
crazy.
making like
But that
quadruple,
may
quintuple the
change
money that
is the
Andre
thing.
Drummond is making.
And last
Yeah.
season, he had games where he got like 25, 30 minutes a game and scored a bunch.
It's not unheard of, and I feel like it'll change this year, especially
No, I'm
with
saying
Damian Green
average,
being out.
Jackson.
But yeah,
And I think, well, last year, one other question I had for you guys was that last year, obviously going into the playoffs, everybody saw us as a title contender, and that was with Embiid not having the meniscus tear. I feel like everybody's sort of downplaying at this point Embiid's meniscus tear in like the role that it played for our playoff, or what happened in the playoffs for us. I think everybody's sort of pushing the blame fully on Simmons and not us not having like our best player healthy. Do you think with all our young players improving and Embiid not being hurt, even if we have Simmons on the team and he doesn't improve that much, do you think we're still title contenders?
I don't think we're title contenders with Ben
I
Simmons
feel
on the
like you
team.
couldn't do that unless you
I
changed his role on the team entirely,
Yeah.
away from being the ball handler and a guy who sees the ball
You'd
often.
literally have to change positions.
I still think we're going to be like a top 2 or 3 seed.
Oh
Exactly.
no,
Well,
we'll
and
probably
that's
get
the
one
thing.
or two.
that's
hardest
the
thing
thing.
about next
But that's not a
season
title
is that
contender.
your standards are so high already. You know, like we know last season was a failure. Anything less than conference finals and championship, or championship appearance is a failure.
Yeah,
We
I
lost
agree.
to the damn Hawks, bro.
I agree with these guys completely. I think that's where I was going with this too. I think, you know, if it was a healthy Joel Embiid this year, I still don't think they go to the finals.
We
I mean,
still beat the Hawks,
basically,
though, probably.
but we
Probably beat the
we
Hawks.
probably beat the Hawks. But do we go to the finals?
99% chance.
I would guess not.
I don't think we beat
Yeah,
the Bucks though.
I think the
Yeah.
Bucks had too many good role players, too many just solid players on their offense for us to beat them this year.
Dude,
we
are you
still
eating?
yeah we still need that
Nuggets.
final. Either way, we're
Or
still
nuts.
eating. Oh my god! Now I'm mixing up because Brits is throwing me off. We still
It
need
wasn't
that
me.
final. We still need that final piece, regardless of Joel's health. We know that at this point, so we got to go out and get Dame. Interesting hire, coaching consultant Phil Becker, which is also Dame's lifelong trainer. So little something to look at and take note of. Does it mean anything?
Probably
I don't know.
not.
Probably
Well, I
not.
think
But-
also, but like having that in conjunction with the fact that we also signed his cousin this year, I think to our summer league or D League team, it's like 2 Dame signings, which is interesting.
It's almost meant to be like coincidental, you know.
We signed his
It's
trainer, we
what?
signed his cousin.
Too much.
It's like
What was those words?
this is what
Too much to
happens
be
when we
coincidental.
take like 2 weeks off because our editor takes.
Yeah,
2
I
weeks.
start
I-
eating.
Yeah.
So
Words
start
get
saying
caught
words
up
that
in
don't
mouth, it'll
exist.
say 'em
Look,
no good,
look.
dude.
All right,
Hey,
guys.
there's clearly something there though. It's like you sign his trainer, you sign his
There's
his
something
cousin,
in
you
something.
play
in the
the
water.
X-Files music, dude. There's a conspiracy there.
There's something to look at. All right, let's break down super
let's move on
quickly
to the-
because I
let's
want to
move
go
on
to the
to the
Eagles. Real quick on the draft picks that we got for this year. At the 28th pick, we got Jaden Springer. He's only 18. Looks like this could be a good pickup just to see where he develops as he gets older. He's a 3-and-D guy, so shooting 40% in college, during his
Albeit
freshman
on
year.
low attempt per game.
But on the low attempt per game, so 1.8, I think, attempts per game. And then also like 37% off the catch, like 20 goes down to 28% off the dribble.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like he's okay. It's like another Korkmaz coming in, and he's also the best defender.
Entirely
defender.
depending on being open.
So that's something to consider. I hope I'm saying this right. Philippe Petrusev.
That's
this
what I
could
would
be
say. Yeah.
this could be a really good pickup too. I mean, about 24 points per game, 7 rebounds, 40% from 3 for 3 attempts per game. So
I actually really like that pick. I feel like
it's a really good pick at that spot.
Yeah. You just gotta remember that he was playing in the ABA.
Well, I've heard that the ABA, like typically players from that league, do better than their draft positions are. Like I think
Cork is from. I think Cork played in that league for a little bit.
Jokic was from the ABA, and he got picked like number 45 or something.
So yeah, I mean, there's definitely potential with guys who do successful in that league, but not every guy who is successful in the ABA is going to translate to the NBA.
Transfer over to the NBA.
But it's a good risk to take at a position like that.
But what's interesting with him also is that he was a player. I think he played for Gonzaga, and then he went over to the ABA. So he wasn't drafted out of college.
And he was the 2020 West Coast Player of the Year, I guess, at Gonzaga. So yeah, I mean, and then he went back to Serbia, right? So I think it's an interesting pick. I mean, if it pans out, player comparison to Jokic, I mean, that's amazing.
I don't know if he's Jokic. He's more like a 4 that shoots.
You know,
Hey,
to me that says
don't
that
sell
he
him
was
short.
playing
Gonna
in
win
college
every
and he was,
championship for
like,
the next
Jokic.
5 years.
Let's
with
go.
the money.
All right, and then the last pick, Charles Bassey, 17.6 points per game, 11 boards per game, 3.1 blocks. So this is basically Embiid depth center backup, but I like it.
I heard Bassey he was like a top high school prospect that kind of fell off a little bit. So at least there's still like some upside that people were seeing with him.
Right. So I mean, high potential. I mean, again,
I don't think we're going to see any of these guys on the court next year. To be honest, I think they're all kind of just projects.
And that's A-okay
added
with us.
Added to the list of like Isaiah Joe and like our other backups.
Right.
I was thinking the other
us,
day,
as
Jackson,
long as
you
they
remember
develop.
when we used to get excited for all the stash picks back in like 2015, 2016?
I mean, we've had so many good players that were just like in the second round or undrafted free agents, like TJ Covington, like Grant, everybody from the second round, which is actually like really good. Rashawn Holmes,
Good development system for sure.
All guys that have turned into something. I mean, yeah, look at those guys. All right, let's go to the Eagles. Let's turn to, all right, for each, for offense and defense, we're going to go through the big takeaways here. We'll run it down.
Guys, we're like 35 days away from the NFL season. Let's go.
We are so close. So stay tuned. That's where Philly Pod's really going to pick up for us.
So pop off.
Let's start with the injury list. So the guys that we haven't been able to see too much from yet, and then we'll go into who's running with the ones, and then finally some of the shining stars, kind of the people on the radar that we need to look out for, who could become starters in this Eagles offense. So the big thing here, right? This list probably changes every day with people in and out for the temporary injuries, things that are just day to day versus week to weeks. The big thing here, obviously, is Devontae Smith's knee sprain. Originally thought it was going to be 5 to 12 weeks, and then I think I got the update from Brits? Or Flay that it's 2 to 3. So
2 to 3, last I saw. MCL sprain.
He'll be back by this.
So he'll be good by the start of the season, going into preseason, but he may be out for training camp, which is valuable time.
When you said 5
the
to 12,
thing that worries me, I feel like, is with
that seems like a large range.
Well, what is preseason start next week?
No.
We got some time before that.
2.5 weeks.
That starts in like early August. Yeah,
there's only 3 games this year, right?
That's why.
Preseason? That's probably it. So more time for training camp, less for.
I actually
pre-season.
don't know how many games there are, to be honest.
But with that said, this kind of changed the dynamic, and we got to see what it looked like a little bit with some of these guys out. So for that very first, day where it was just Devontae Smith, Fulgham, and Rieger and Ward weren't there. So basically, who got the start was Devontae Smith, Fulgham, and J-Jaw, which Jackson's guy.
Hey.
I don't think he's going to be there for long. I mean, I think he might end up making this team. Honestly, but I think he's going to be a backup for sure. Should not start with this team. I don't see where he would be placed in this group of receivers.
Well, I've heard he could get traded potentially even.
And also, like, if he makes it over, like, I hear like Quez Watkins is on the way out. He's not doing too well.
Yeah, I heard Hightower's not doing good.
Yeah, Hightower.
Really?
I actually heard the opposite. So we might have to go into that. But basically, when Fulgham's out, Rieger took the spot on the outside, which is something that I didn't like, because what we've seen from training camp so far, at least what the reports have said, is that Rieger really can't gain or open up any space when he's one-on-one with a man, going against a man-to-man defense. But the offense and Sirianni really have to try hard to create plays and design things, things like jet sweeps and things like that, to really get him open, across the field in those crossing routes. So I don't like him on that outside spot. I think that's why, from when we talked about before, I saw this as Smith and Fulgham on the outside as kind of as those, go-to guys, go up for the ball, strong, and then also create space. Rieger and Ward in the middle. So this could go downhill fast if any of these guys are injured, just because, you need those top 4 guys in their spots, for this offense. But
yeah, I mean, it's a problem if Jalen Reagor can't get open in 1-on-1 because like he's supposed to be
it's a big issue,
he's supposed to be our speed guy. Like he's like probably our fastest receiver.
and also a first round pick just
Yeah,
last year or 2 years ago. So
I say let's give him a little bit of time to get
Oh,
familiar
no,
with the offense.
I already said
And,
that I
like,
think he's gonna do it
get up
better
to
this
speed.
year. But like if this is what we're hearing is that he can't get open in training camp is.
it's I mean it's
Maybe it
definitely.
just means our corners are fire.
I mean, you got Slay and Nelson, but I mean, listen, he is dealing with a tragic loss in one of his good friends growing up, and he came into camp. He failed his physical coming into camp, so Sirianni's not happy with him. It's not a great look, but he is dealing with a tragedy. Let's see if he turns it around. I mean, he's that guy. His role is that jet sweep guy, so that's what we know for him. So if he can just do his job,
guy, though.
well, I mean, if Smith's not there, he definitely has to be bigger than that. But I think them as a combo would work really well.
I don't know. It's gonna be
Yeah,
tough.
this point, we're just running off of like what people said from training camp, so we don't know anything for sure.
It's
like a couple plays where he was hurt or something.
Yeah, but Brits, you say that as if he should be the number one guy. He's not the number one receiver on the team. No, I'm not saying he should be the number
one guy, but he can't be. He has to be like effective, like game by game. Like he can't just show up some games and not show up others. Like he has to be effective.
Well, right, but that's not. He can't create open space when he's on the outside. So I think it's just proving that that's not his role or what he can do.
It's exactly. But
I mean,
in college though is what I'm saying. Like he did that in college. He can't do it now.
Well, that's why there's a position called the slot, and
I know. I'm just saying it's a problem.
I think Sirianni's dealing with a failed pick, so he's going to make do with what he has. Is kind of the thing. But
yeah, I feel like Reagor. I liked what I saw in small doses from him last year. I feel like he was able to get open occasionally, more than other receivers were. I think we should just give him some time to get back to being like in condition, deal with the lower body tightness. We might be hearing reports of like a play where he already had the lower body tightness and he just was like unable to really move quickly and get open. I don't know. I think we're reading maybe too far into that report.
It could be very well that he's just out of shape and he just needs to get in shape for the season.
Exactly.
And that's it. Thought you wanted to say something?
I'm rooting for him. I mean, I'm just going to kind of sit back and see what happens this season.
I had something I wanted to bring up with the offense. I think that we were talking about in previous podcasts how like Zach Ertz was going to be gone by the time the season started. He might not even show up for training camp. I think it's sick to see that he's got the absolute blowout blonde hair. He's fucking chilling. He's at the training camp and he's hooking up with Hurts is like hitting up. I heard they're getting like a lot of good connections. They're hooking up in training camp. I don't know. I think we're gonna have two good tight ends this year.
I think he thought he was going to LA. That's why he hooked the hair, and then he just the trade didn't go through.
So, speaking about or talking about looking too much into things, people are saying the hair. What's that about? He reversed, made his jersey inside out so that the emblem wasn't, or the Eagles logo wasn't showing. So people are looking into that as him being like pissed off. I don't know. I feel like everything with Ertz last year, I think he knew he was going to be gone. I mean, that's why he sat on the bench with Carson and Kelsey at the end of that last game and basically was crying tears. I think Howie communicated to him that, we're going to be looking for trades. And I think Howie definitely was seeking out trades in the draft, but couldn't find something of value that he wanted. So I feel like he kind of made this false promise to Ertz, saying like,
that he'll be gone.
I'll let you move on and you can go be something else somewhere else. But I think he has every right to be pissed off because I think there are communication issues between Howie, Jeffrey Lurie just stepping in too much, and either the quarterback or just people on this team, players on this team. So for all the fans that are like giving up on him and being like, oh, this guy's an ass, like he's not showing up and he's pissed off at you signed the contract, just play for us. I'm never going to hate on Zach Ertz. I'm always going to remember him as the guy who caught that touchdown in the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to hate on him.
What I was saying was that I think we are going to have him for this season. He seems like, I think he was in a position where he could have not attended training camp to force a trade, but he didn't do that. And I think he's going to be here probably for the whole season.
Do you think if he comes out and he's like on fire, that we catch him on high value?
It's possible. I do think that he will be a lot better than he was last year.
I think that statement can't be true without you also saying that Hurts is going to be better than Wentz this
I-
year.
Well, it'd be impossible
mean-
for him
Well,
to
don't we
not
all
be
think
better
that?
than Wentz.
I mean, I can make
I
I can
definitely
make
think
that
that.
argument. Absolutely.
Definitely think
You
that.
can't
I would
be
think
worse than
everybody would
Wentz
think
was last year.
I
It's
think there's still a
impossible.
lot of people who are, especially I talk to a lot of people in my area in like Central Jersey, where it's a solid mixture of New York and Philadelphia fans. And I still have people on both sides of the fence who are surprisingly like very, very suspect of Hertz's ability to like actually like skillfully lead this team
Well, there's
to
a lot of
anything
reasons to be
significant.
suspect. Like
Yeah,
to be fair, like there's not really anything we
Yeah.
can go off of. Like we got 4 games out of him. He played well. Like or he
Yeah.
played. He had shining moments, but like his stats were pretty bad. I don't know. It's like if you believe him, you don't, or it's like if you believe in him or you don't. It's like that's just kind of how it is right now because you don't
I
really have
would.
much to go off of.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the Eagles are still sitting at 6.5 games as like their over under on wins, and I think that it's a pretty solid chance, especially looking at where the defense is now, that we can easily be over
Can
that.
go above that. No,
definitely.
I would agree. Yeah, I think with
Yeah, I think we'll get over the 6 games or 7
Ertz
games.
has to be better than last year. Hurts has to be better than
At
Wentz.
the very
last
least,
year.
he can move. He can run.
So
which is
what do you guys think?
Seldom failed a quarterback in the NFL.
With Smith, how many wins do you think he impacts? I feel like he's with him out. That could be 1 to 2 games that we lose because he's out.
If Devontae
Well,
Smith
won't he be
doesn't
back?
play the whole season, then we might be fucked.
He'll be back by the end of the first game, right?
That's how high I am on him. Is that I feel like that 9 wins that I gave the team goes down to like 5 or 6 if just for him alone.
If we have the same receivers we had last year, and it's not looking good.
Yeah, I just think he brings such a big impact to the team. But I mean,
I think that the fact that we keep Ertz, because I feel like in those scenarios, you're also thinking Ertz is gone.
Yeah, I mean that's true too. We have a lot of weapons on this team.
You got to think that Dallas Goedert's going to play more snaps than Ertz this year, right?
We can honestly play 2 tight end scenarios more often than not.
Well, we already do that.
Yeah, I mean, and Ertz is such an effective receiver. He's basically a slot receiver when you play him off the line like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no way a linebacker's covering him. So it's basically that.
It's been like that his whole career.
So who's running the ones, right? Obviously, it's Jalen. It's very clear that he's the starter. Just even without the official title of it. You got Sanders and Boston Scott. He got the start today on Nick's list because he's really been showing up. You got Gainwell there also in the mix. So as far as the whole running back depth we talked about before, where Howard and Kerryon Johnson was also kind of in the mix. I think it's more of this 3-back set that we'll see, which I don't think we're surprised by at all. Again, those receivers, Jay Jawell, just for the fun of it, putting them up there. But you hope that you would think that Ward's the guy who's definitely getting that start because he's the receiver on this team that has the most career, catches with the Eagles, which just goes to show how young this receiving core is. Obviously, Lane, Brooks, Kelsey, they're all starters in the O-line. So just put Mailata and Dillard here just to kind of highlight, them going back and forth. They've both been running with the first team, basically been a 50-50 split. But from what I'm hearing and listening, to the different radio shows is that Mailata has won this hands down so far. And just early into camp. So I think he's going to take that spot.
Well, I think that's exciting to hear because it's good to have. From what I'm hearing also is that not only is Mailata taking the spot, both players are just playing phenomenally. I heard, which I think is a good thing to have, a good problem to have, especially because we were kind of iffy on Dillard. We didn't know if he was going to be good or bad, and it sounds like he is going to be at least a serviceable backup.
Yeah, and also it's good because you can never have too many offensive linemen.
Yeah, we don't know,
especially on our team.
One's always down.
Exactly. So that's why I didn't worry when I heard Dillard was getting so many starts with the first team because I think it's great strategy. I mean, Sirianni, throw him in there with the ones because there's probably a good chance that he might be in there, maybe not even as a left tackle, but maybe as a guard because we know how it works, in Eagles season. Everybody goes down. So I like it from a coaching strategy. Get him as much reps as you can.
Only other thing I'm surprised by on this list is I'm surprised Kerryon Johnson is not getting the look over Boston Scott.
Well, I think just looking at the offensive scheme, I think Nick's offense is based on speed. And if you look at that, he loves to have Gainwell and guys like Boston Scott in there. plus your Miles Sanders as well. So from that standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. If we're going goal line offense, then the story changes.
Yeah.
But plus Kerryon
makes me
Johnson, he's not getting up there in age. He's a young guy. So.
No, yeah.
Looking at these-
he was hurt, so you never know if he's fully coming back from that injury. Too.
So
looking at these 3 running backs, it just makes me think we're not going to run the ball again.
Well, I mean, we got Sanders, who's a great running back. We just haven't utilized him to his full potential yet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, with these 3 guys, they're all pass catchers.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I mean,
I don't know.
If you're looking at all receivers and the top targets for each of those different receivers, and I'm going to talk about this guy in a little bit because he's really kind of like having a coming out party of like showing up. Tyree Jackson is first on the list with having the most 12 catches, 14 targets. Next on the list is Boston Scott, 11 for 13, and then following that, Sanders, 10 for 11. So,
that's just targets in general?
From the most targets on anyone in the team. So that's including receivers.
Wow.
So that sounds like Hurts is really targeting the running backs.
Yeah, which means, obviously we're not there on the field watching them, watching Hurts, but he's either doing his checkdowns or, Sirianni's mixing a lot of, pass catching running backs into the mix, which is what it looks like from these guys running with the ones.
They might just be training him to check down instead of like running all the time.
Instead of running the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible.
That might be like what their plan is.
Yeah, you never know with training camp because they could be working on very specific things.
Yeah.
And
that's
always
what it sounds like because I doubt we're gonna be throwing the ball that much to our running backs.
I would also never read into like the interceptions or like things that people throw because what if they're trying to like actually plan for like the defense to
and if they're
make
just
the
building
play.
I think if they're just building the offense right now, it kind of makes sense for them to start with the screen game. Because that's like sort of the most, basic thing they can do.
Play that they can go
work his way up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, these are the guys that are in the mix. Obviously, the biggest conversation is the Dillard Mailata story, but also just in general, the general feeling from the offense was that there was the training camp and the practices were just moving a lot faster. The first drill that they did was running in the red zone, 7-on-7s. So, get guys like Slay and Nelson in there against like Smith and Fulgham and guys like that. It kind of speaks to Sirianni's thought and just core values on competition, just play hard right away. So that was something that a lot of, the different analysts noticed compared to Doug's training camps. Things just seem to move a lot faster, be a lot more competitive, even faster. Something like red zone drill is something you would do much later in camp as opposed to the first day. So that was a big takeaway today.
High energy from Nick.
High energy from Nick.
I think that's something you like to hear.
You'd love to see it. I think it's panning out from everything that we're hearing about him. I think we're actually, seeing
doing it
physically in camp too. Okay, so some of the shining stars, right? So actually, Nick Mullins is actually showing up. Another low risk, high. We all, as we all know, backups mean something in this league. I think he went.
I hate hearing about backup QBs,
but it's true. We lived it. So
I know.
I mean, so he went. I think he just from one stat. I think I saw that he went like 17 from 18 at one point and threw a touchdown to Quez Watkins or somebody like that. So he's getting some touches, not with the first team. Jalen's been the only quarterback to get touches with the first team. 158 snaps. I think over 4 practices. Joe Flacco, none with the first team. So as far as people thinking, trying to tell that story, that's not going to happen.
I think that in a situation where we would like to hope that Jalen Hurts is going to be the quarterback of the future, but we're not like sure of it, it's definitely even more important now to have like a good backup quarterback, just in case.
Yeah, I mean, you always need one just in case, and hopefully at a low dollar value too. But here's a question that I have for you guys because it comes up a lot. Should the Eagles name Jalen the starter at this point? Because we all know he is the starter. I have my own thoughts on this, but do you guys think they should just come out and do it already?
I feel like at this point it doesn't even matter. I mean, I feel like at this point everybody knows it. So like, what's the point of even saying it?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for the principles that Nick Sirianni holds, you probably shouldn't just do that.
Yeah, I agree with Flay. I think for what from what we are hearing from Nick Sirianni, it seems like he wants the players to earn their roles. So it's not really for us to say. I think as soon as he earns the starter position, we'll hear about it.
I mean,
And
clearly
maybe
Jalen.
this could be sorry, Briz. This could be why Jalen is taking such a leadership role is because
Yeah.
he knows that there's that little bug in the back of his head saying you never know
Yeah,
because Nick Mullins went out there and went 17 for 18.
but like,
It,
yeah, no, that is true. And also, like let's be real. If he's the only person who's played with the first team, he's the starting quarterback. So,
I mean, we know it's the case, but I completely agree with you guys. I think to Flay's point with Sirianni, I think if he wants to live up to what his values are and not be hypocritical, then he's kind of allowing Jalen to reach for that rather than just be like a Derek Barnett, like, oh, I have it, like it's mine,
Why not
type
let the
of
kid play
mentality.
up to his ceiling?
Yeah,
And I,
reach for the stars, shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars.
and don't give him everything unless he's earned it. Like if he wants to be the
Yeah.
starter, then earn the position.
Which he's to be fair, he is going out and doing for sure. Which is
Exactly.
kind of
Yeah.
like a two-way street
Yeah.
that you just love to see.
Which I think what a lot of
No
the takes,
traffic. No
I think
traffic.
I think a lot of the takes is that by not naming Jalen the starter, that the Eagles organization doesn't have a lot of faith with him. Which again, I don't think it's the case. I think it's a Sirianni thing, just motivating him that much more to go out and get it. So I like the approach with Sirianni and them not naming him the starter because I think Jalen wants to earn it. I don't think he's the type of guy who wants to say, have stuff handed to him. So I really like that. This is the approach with not naming him, I should say, the starter for right now.
I agree.
Okay, so with that, we'll take a short break and we'll come back and talk a little bit
back to
more
the
about
defense.
the shining stars.
Jesus.
We're back to talk about the stars of the offense in Eagles training camp. So let's go through it. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Jalen and Nick so far, but Boston Scott, what's he showing us? Again, speed and 13 targets, 11 catches off of those targets. So he's showing that he is a pass catching back, which we all know he is. But he's running with the runs, running right behind Sanders. So he might be your second go-to guy, which you do have to think about, if Sanders does go down, just knowing that he is injury prone. But it is pretty worrisome if Sanders does go down because I don't think there is any replacement of Sanders at that point. But other stars, other stars, you got Smith. In his limited time since he went out with the injury, 7 catches, 10 targets, 3 touchdowns, 0 drops. Of course, he's just that good. All in 3 practices. So he's scored the most touchdowns of any other receiver out there, probably with 1 less practice than everybody else has. So he's the guy that I believe he's going to be. Again, over 1,000 yards, if not at least 1,000 yards this year, in my mind.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Are you concerned about the injury? Do you think that plays into the whole injury proneness that people were scared about with him?
With Smith, no.
I'm concerned.
I'm a little concerned. Yeah.
Just because,
definitely.
Not because of him, just because, not because of his size or anything, just because of if it's happened already, I don't know. I'm afraid
he's got twigs, dude. He's got little twiggly legs.
Was it a contact injury?
But sometimes that's good in a way.
That I don't know.
Sometimes it's good to not carry around more weight.
I agree that I don't think it's because of the weight issue, like everybody immediately jumps to the conclusion of, but does it concern me a little bit? Yeah, because he can't just have the normal training camp that he could have in his rookie season.
Sucks.
I mean, this is valuable time for him.
Yeah.
So, but the other guy, right, that everybody's talking about is Tyree Jackson, and nobody probably knows his name until now.
Yeah, who the hell is this guy?
So this guy,
earlier, I have no idea what you're talking about.
This guy was a quarterback. Speaking of the year where quarterbacks turn into tight ends if they're not successful at quarterback, he was a quarterback in Buffalo. Came over to us. He's now a tight end. Guys, I think he's gonna make the team. He might beat out Richard Rodgers if we don't have a 4th tight end. This guy's 6'7". He's a monster. He trucked Davion Taylor, 6'7". In a catch, he's had the most targets out of anybody. Caught 12 catches for 14 targets. so the most out of anyone. And everybody's just looks at him on the field and said, "This guy's a beast. Like, who is he? Where is he coming from?"
I mean,
But
he could just be like our Jimmy Graham.
Who needs Kyle Pitts when you got Jackson?
I mean, where is this guy coming from?
Did he
And
give me, you know he's gonna be? He's gonna be the
tall
next
as fuck,
crazy.
the next James
chuck it up
Robinson.
there.
Next James Robinson,
yeah,
like undrafted.
like the undrafted guy
Yeah.
off the street
Just-
comes in.
No, dude, he's gonna be the next Rob
Hurts who?
Gronkowski.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh my
Probably
god,
party bro already, dude.
6'7", dude. Is he a monster?
6'7",
That's big for the NFL.
So he is big, man. So and apparently fast enough. So
Zach Ertz might not be seeing the field.
I just cut him. Just pay Jackson.
Just cut him.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the other receivers, right, out of all the about 70 targets from Jalen Smith, 8. We went through Smith, but he's a surefire number 1 starter on the outside. Rigor, like we said before, it's taking a lot from coaching. The coaches just to design plays to make it work. He can't get that outside space. Fulgham 5 for 10 with 1 drop. He seems to be the number 3 guy, no matter who's in the rotation, whether it's Ward, Rieger, Smith, Watkins, or Hightower getting in there. He seems to always be in the mix somehow. He's been on the outside as well. I think he suffered a lower body injury, so he's day to day. But with him, he looks promising. It looks like he's going to at least get the start. He slimmed down a little bit this year compared to last year, so maybe he's kind of putting in the work just to become what he showed us earlier in the season last year.
I'd be surprised
Ward,
if he doesn't make the team.
I'd be surprised, yeah, at this point. Ward, like I said, he doesn't have the height, he doesn't have the speed. He's just that interior slot guy, alongside opposite side of Rager. So, nothing special there. But like I said, he has the most career catches on this team out of all the receivers so far. So you kind of have to keep him, I think,
Currently.
for current. I mean, that will probably change after this year if Smith is healthy within 1 year.
Ward just gets the job done. It's weird because it's like I feel like nobody thinks his ceiling's that high, and it's like, but it's at the same time he gets the job done. And it's like you can't take him off the field, but like you kind of hope that you can at some point just for your own sake.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a really good way to put it. It's like he's there because you need him to be there, but you don't really want him there.
So then
you want someone better.
Who
But at
goes
the
in
same
his
time,
place?
you're like, I love you, Greg Ward.
Just because he's he's a Philly guy.
He's always going to catch the
Now he
ball,
is,
but
at
like.
least.
But like if you're running a 2 tight end set and have Jackson in there now, then maybe you take him out, like in scenarios like that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm not gonna take part in this Greg Ward slander.
It's not slander.
It's really not slander. I mean, it's just we're just not calling.
You just
him
want someone
a
better, ideally.
He's just
At the end
not
of
a
the
1
day-
or 2, but we love him. I mean,
At the end of the day, there's a disaster scenario where Greg Ward finishes the season as our number 1 receiver.
Didn't
we don't
that
want
happen
to
2
change.
years ago?
He should never be your number 1. But
you
if
should
Greg
just
Ward
don't.
is playing slot.
That literally happened 2 years ago.
That just speaks to the scenario of the whole team at that point. But Quez Watkins, I don't know what you guys were hearing, Jackson and Flay.
I didn't hear it about Watkins.
5 for 6, 2 touchdowns, 50-yard bomb from Jalen.
Oh, nice.
I think 50 and 40-yard bomb. So this guy's got
Fuck
speed.
what I heard.
Yeah, fuck what you heard. So he's basically just speed. Everybody loves him, and that's really all I got on him.
Yeah, I heard Watkins could do good. The one that I heard was doing bad was Hightower. I heard Hightower might be out of here.
Yeah, he went 10 for 13, hasn't had any touchdowns. It's with him, it's kind of like he's always talking to Sirianni because something's going wrong for simple mistakes. So with him, he has the speed. Like I said, I mean, he really stretched the field last year. He had all those drops, but I feel like he's just not correcting just fundamental mistakes that Sirianni has to kind of sit him down and go through. So if anybody's getting cut that has a potential to make this team, if he, does the right things, it's him out of all guys. And then your favorite, J-Jaw. So 6 for 7 on catches, no touchdowns. Basically, the story here is that he's just a backup. He may make the team for depth purposes, but that's really it. Nothing special from J-Jaw.
Get him out of here. Cut him.
So
Practice squad at best.
Cut him.
Yeah, I agree with you,
Sorry.
Brits. Cut him, dude.
just
He needs to be here.
Too
just
many
cut him.
people for him to be,
Just cut him.
working his way up still.
Yeah.
So
And too many years.
I'd rather give all his opportunity to Quez Watkins. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
we're for a
That's
new up and coming
on
guy.
average. That's one more
Absolutely.
50.
I'd rather have another guy suck for 2 years that we didn't spend a first round or second round pick on.
I'd rather
Realistically,
have
these people are playing for like the 5th space on our team, the 5th wide receiver spot in like the practice squad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's all this is. It's really just picking apart who can really make that spot and make a difference. I think Quez Watkins actually has a chance, so we'll see what comes from him. But that's all on the offense. Unless you guys want to get any
My
takes
cat just
in.
barked in my
No,
room.
Let's move on.
going.
All
You
right,
didn't lock
let's
your door, dude.
lock your
I
doors and
forgot when I came back
windows.
in.
Learn from Zoom off. Let's go.
This is the first time we actually saw this
God.
happen too.
So all right, we're looking at the injuries, right? A lot of things stand out. It's a lot of the guys that can be leaders on this team. Looking at the D line, you got Kerrigan who goes out with a hand injury the other day. I think it was a wrist. I think he came back today, so I don't think it's anything that serious. Again, he's another rotational guy, but this is a guy who could be, the third defensive end on a team behind a guy, and I think he might be, the fourth or maybe not fifth, but it kind of goes back to what Jackson was saying before in one of our previous pods that this defensive line could have probably 4, 5, 6 starters, on any other team. But
So,
yeah,
I think we're going to play like a high-paced offense for sure, and usually that means that your defense sees a lot of the field. So I think it's really important for us to have guys like Kerrigan, who we're able to rotate consistently to keep in. So I'm
Well,
really
that's
hoping that
with our Super Bowl run, we had like a lot of great rotational pieces, and I think it's
Yeah.
the similar situation this year.
yeah, on the from the D
Yeah.
tackles and also on the
It's a
outside.
similar situation. We're going to win the Super Bowl again.
Yeah. At least from a defensive
what I'm
line,
saying.
maybe nothing else is the same. But
Nothing was the same.
we'll see. I mean, McLeod's not in here. He's on that list.
Hey,
And then-
we could win it all.
And you got Singleton out.
Dude, you never know.
I'm going to win a lot of money
As
if
well.
that happens.
There you go. You buy up Ben's house while you're out there.
Gosh.
But yeah, so I mean, just general highlights, right? Davian Taylor, from a linebacker's perspective, let's talk about the ones a little bit. He seems to be a good coverage guy. So if anything, if he's not like Eric Wilson or Singleton, where they're guys that's attacking, then he's going to be at least in the coverage. I think Gannon's going to run more of a 3-4, which sucks for Fletcher, but could be good with the players that you have. It's going to bring guys like Jannard Avery and give them an opportunity to step up, where he's kind of like that stand-up rusher type of guy. But yeah, I mean, we haven't seen that in a while. We're used to the 4-3, so this might change up the dynamic a little bit. But
I feel like the defense is going to look entirely different this year.
I think so too. I think it's
For
going to
the
be
better,
completely
too.
different.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
for the
I think it's
better.
going to be better. And it's
I agree.
just going to be a refreshing change of pace for the fans, I feel like.
Yeah, it's going to be something fun to watch. I mean, we're going from bend, don't break to now just kill, get turnovers,
Attack.
attack.
I like that. I like that play style
Engage
so much
8.
more.
I mean, I do too.
Engage 8, baby. Let's
Engage
do it.
8. But yeah, I mean, as far as what Gannon's putting a lot of emphasis on, it's a focus on stripping the ball, causing turnovers at any
like that,
possible
man.
point.
So many other
You
teams do
love
that
to
now,
finally
too.
see it. I mean, a lot of these guys, different defensive backs, like Avonte Maddox got interviewed, and it was basically like, what's the general feel? It's like, make the tackle first, go right for that ball, but that entire team should be around that ball, stripping the ball, taking it out, causing, creating plays for our offense so that they can get back on the field. I love the mentality. It just seems like a total refreshing, 180 from what we saw in Jim Schwartz.
Dude, some of I feel like the last 3 years, or 4 years, I've just been seeing the best defense in the league always go for the ball, man. They like the Saints. The Saints defense does it every time.
Yep.
I've seen so many strip sacks, or not strip sacks, just punching the ball out, from the defensive backs, and it's just.
Yep.
I don't know why people don't do it more often.
It happened to us a hell of a lot last season.
It happens to us, and it happened in the playoffs a lot. A lot of the playoff teams had it happen to them.
Yep.
It's just such a good move that I just don't know why people haven't focused on it more.
I mean, you don't need to look into stats to know that it's going to help, change the game in your favor that much more.
Well, I feel like Jim Schwartz was just such like a dry guy who just like he did his thing and he wasn't gonna change, and we knew what was gonna happen with him. It's just nice to get somebody new in the building, you know.
It's
Yeah.
true.
It's yeah, like you said, very refreshing. But what has been the story of this camp? On this side, it's the Sweat Barnett talk, but it's a little bit different than Dillard and Mailata because it's not like one really starts or plays more than the other. It's kind of a 50-50 split with snaps either way. But it looks like Sweat is earning that position. Barnett's still playing really well, actually, from what I've heard. But with that said, it seems like they're going to go 50-50 rotation. Sweat's definitely earned that start. And then you got all the guys here. I mean, you got Hargraves playing, to his potential, it sounds like as well. Fletcher and Graham just going to do, veteran type stuff, not worried about them at all. And then hopefully Carrigan can come in as that sixth option. So
I mean, every day's gonna be Thanksgiving for the defensive line. They're gonna be
they're going to be eating. Looking at this defense, guys, looks really good. We signed Stevie Nelson. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, that was the
to bring
name
in.
of the market.
Yeah.
He said that Slay tweeting to him, and the Eagles fan base just being so passionate is what brought him over here. So, I mean, it feels like one of those scenarios. I was like, we're not going to get him because we never do. We never get the guy, but we finally got the guy. And this defense is looking pretty badass. Just looking at it this way,
pretty good, man.
I think literally just making Avonte Maddox not the second best cornerback on the team makes such a big difference.
I mean, it's a massive difference.
And that's exactly what we asked for in the last pod. And we got Christmas came early. So, I mean, he's in the slot now, and you like him as a slot player. Joe, my boy Joe DeCamera asked him in an interview yesterday, "You're at the slot position now. Do you feel like that's your spot?" And he basically said, "Yeah, that's where I'm comfortable the most with." And if there's from a strengths weaknesses standpoint, he feels that he has the quickness to be comfortable in that spot. He just has to work on his eyes, his vision on the field. So that's what Gannon's been working on with him. I mean, maybe he does have I think he does have the quickness. I think he just has to read the field a little bit better and be behind the guy versus playing catch up a little bit. But
and honestly, I think that the reason he was hesitant towards saying that the slot is his spot is maybe because I think he's destined for that number 4 spot. I think Zach McPherson bumps up above him, and we just barely even see Avonte on the field.
That's possible. Been hearing good things about him too. So.
Yeah, I'm happy with the way the defense is looking. It panned out way better than I thought it would, honestly.
Yeah,
we have a solid defense right now.
Yeah, defense looking good.
I'm not going to get too excited, but it's solid.
It's best in a long time.
So I think before all of this happened, we were saying that the Eagles would have only had chances in shootout games where the defenses didn't matter and they were just kind of. But now our defense actually can hold their own against
not just hold their own, but cause plays that change the game. Yeah,
there's gonna be games where we only need to score 3 or 4 touchdowns to win the game.
Yeah, that's ideal.
Yeah, just what you want.
Before we had holes at the safety position, the cornerback position, and the linebacker position, basically the entire backfield, or the defensive backfield. And now it seems like we plugged pretty much all of those holes.
Yeah, I mean, those are all those.
We don't have insane depth, but it's we have enough.
It's not like we created more depth, but we filled those holes with guys who are
starters,
pretty good starters with Harris,
serviceable starters,
Nelson and Wilson. So it's looking at that from that perspective, we went from a bottom half of the league defense to now in the top half.
Yeah, honestly, I was gonna say we're probably a top 15 defense if you look at our roster.
I think adding Nelson may have added potentially 2 wins to our season. I think that's a huge
big impact player. Yeah, I mean, if you can have him cover some of those first for ones and twos receivers, then you can allow for a big play slide to actually make plays.
And honestly, not only the fact that he's such a big impact player, it was such a big hole, it was such a big hole that was
because I mean, if you think about it, that guy's going to be open every single time,
especially with our division.
That was a problem.
So
our division has good receivers, really good receivers.
Right.
I mean, you got you add Kenny Galladay to the mix, and now it's like you have even more good
Again,
receivers.
especially against the Giants, Cowboys, for
Yeah,
sure.
Giants, Cowboys. And I mean, what's his name on the football team is amazing too. Can't remember his name right
Well,
now.
Curtis Samuel and then also Terry
Yeah,
McLaurin.
McLaurin. He's good
Yeah.
too.
No, and then you got Logan Thomas up there too. So,
Yeah.
so yeah,
A
no,
lot of
you're
guys
you're
need to
you're
cover in
going
this
against the
division.
toughest receivers probably out there. I just like the general intensity from the camps too. I think 2 days in a row they're going, they're hitting with pads. So I think get the injuries out now, I guess, and just learn how to tackle. Start
Yeah.
from square one.
Harden up the body.
Anthony Harris or he put on the hit stick against Fulgham. Fulgham jumped right back up. Maybe that's why he got hurt actually. But I'm just excited. I feel like just give me something. Brian Dawkins, Ed Reed, Troy
Well, yeah, we'll save that for the real season.
Related. give me something. Give me something back to those 04 days, please.
Hold offenses to a regular amount of points.
Yeah, not 30.
Let's get some turnovers. I love like 10 or 12 picks.
Let's get some interceptions, man. We had like no interceptions last year.
If Harris can be half as good as Palomalo, I'll be happy.
Palomalo lining up in the C gap. Yeah. So this is your defense, boys. You love to see it. It's just it's the guys behind them that you kind of worry about. But we'll see. We shall see. All right, let's move on to Sirianni. Oh yeah, we're sipping that Kool-Aid.
I'm sipping on it.
So
I'm sipping on it.
You're sipping? Who's all right.
You guys are playing. You guys are finally entering the game of rock, paper, scissors.
Drinks up for Sirianni. Let's go.
Sipping.
Let's see it.
I'm loving what I'm seeing and I'm loving what I'm hearing.
Did you guys see him hopping on the field with Fulgham and like actually like teaching him to play?
Well, he's got it, dude.
Like it's not
hands on.
He doesn't actually like he obviously was had that crazy like mentality that we were like worried about, but it's like a legitimate like he's like taking over as a leader instead of like using it as like a sideshow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I obviously we were worried from the first press conference, right, where he was a little bit, nervous going into it. Could tell he was stuttering a little bit. And the only reason why I was worried about that was because, is this guy going to be able to lead, guys who are potentially older than him and some of the vets on this team, to motivate them to do what he wants and to teach them and kind of, and do that sort of thing. But he's putting all accountability on these guys. When they make a bad play, he tells them about him. He tells them about it. He tells them what he wants to see. The other day, he completely stopped practice. Brought everybody together. He said he didn't like what he was seeing. He said, "Let's go out and change what we need to change to, be successful for what we want to get from the team." So, same scenario if you're in a game in halftime, things aren't going your way. What do we need to change to turn this thing around? And that's exactly, he's putting his players in those scenarios. And he's telling them when they're doing things wrong. He's, putting the accountability on them as well.
Yeah, I feel like he's actually like really being a good leader, and I can really see Jalen and him having a good coach QB bond. Like, I can actually see it.
Yeah.
I feel like they both care so much about football. Like they both have that like crazy football passion. Like they're both young. They're both hungry now. Like it's like I feel like I think it could really make some sparks fly.
I think that in the NFL, in all sports really, but like mentality plays a huge factor. I think when you play with confidence, there is a definite overall boost in your performance, and I think that Sirianni so far has definitely instilled confidence in the team overall throughout the vets and the rookies, and everyone in between. I think there's a general optimism and a positive sense throughout the entire training camp. And I think that pays dividends if you keep that feeling going overall, throughout the whole season.
I just love the fact that he's hands-on. I love the fact that he's all about competition, accountability, and just earning your spot on the starting roster. I don't know. I'm loving it. I'm sipping the Kool-Aid hard.
Sipping on the Kool-Aid for sure.
Yeah, I think Jackson said it a lot earlier.
We're all on the same page.
Yeah, we're straight sipping. He's just going to put endless work in, and that's what I feel confident about. Even if something goes wrong, him and Jalen are up at all hours of the night trying to make this work.
Oh yeah, no matter what record we end up with at the end of the season, I feel confident that Nick Sirianni will have worked as hard as he possibly can to get that record.
Yeah. And versus Carson Wentz, he'd be like, quit on the team. Okay. All right, let's make it quick. Let's go through it because we're running a long pod so far. We got to end this. So, quick questions. All right. Are the Eagles a well-run organization?
Historically, yes. Historically, yes. Obviously, because we've pretty much always hired good coaches. Like it's kind of insane how good the coaches we've gotten are.
I think 4 in the past 20 years or something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, Chip Kelly was like
4 or 5,
but he also made the playoffs 2 out of 3 years or 2
in
out of
his
4
first
years?
year, 2 out of 3, I think, 10-6 records. So
yeah, so I mean,
I
feel like the Eagles, especially in our lifetime, has been an extremely successful organization.
And I think they're able to like recognize a bad situation and pivot out of it into like a better situation pretty flawlessly.
Yeah, we really haven't done any like rebuilds.
Yeah, and that's that's kind of the thing. I would agree. If you look historically, we move very quickly if we are, in a losing the losing bracket. Pivot very quickly from Chip Kelly era when we saw how that was going. So we
went from
thank God for that, dude.
We went from 6-10 to winning the Super Bowl. So
I think that the Eagles, there's a lot of like stuff where it's like like Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman medal, but I think there's a lot of passion, especially with like the executive management for the success of this team, and I think sometimes that works to their disadvantage where they try to get involved. But I think overall, like this offseason, Howie did great. I don't know what about Jeff and what his string pulling is, unfortunately.
Yeah, you never
But
know what Jeff's doing.
I'm curious
honestly.
to see how they allow Nick Sirianni to do his own thing this season.
I think they could go wrong if they don't give him that free reign to go out and do.
I think they need to
what he wants.
They need to give him like all the power on it,
I agree.
All the power that a normal coach has
to pick his team on game day and call the plays.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
I think the reason our 2017 team won was because Doug Peterson was able to call the shots and he allowed his coaches to call the shots.
Yeah, with no consequences either.
I think it's interesting that we're all saying yes to this when just a few months ago, like everybody was calling for Howie's head. Like even some of us. I think it just shows that Howie, like, he is a competent GM. He can like get it done.
Well,
it's a long-term game.
I mean, he can turn things around very quickly. I mean, he went from from like you said, filling all those holes in the defense, Harris, Wilson, also Just Nelson, creating cap space when we didn't have cap space, still keeping Ertz on this team and bringing in a guy like Kerrigan that fills, an extra slot in the rotation on the D line. So even things like that,
Jackson,
getting
tight end.
The tight end, finding him like, those random guys that just, could turn into something. Plus Devontae Smith, plus 3 potential first-round picks for next year. So you're talking about the now and growth of the future. Howie turns it around within minutes. So he gained my confidence back in what he did in this offseason. That's for sure.
The man brought us the Super Bowl. So he knows what he's doing in the long run.
He's very good at bringing the guys in. Now it's just a matter of letting the guys do their job.
Yes.
So, all right, next one.
Medal, Howie.
Do we still support the Birds if they bring in Deshaun Watson?
For me, no.
Yeah, I'm out.
I mean, I would still support the Eagles. What do you mean?
I would watch the games. I would not support Jeffrey Howie. I would be off. I would be off team Howie and Lurie.
Do I want this guy on my team? No. But I'm not going to let this guy take fucking football away from me.
For me, I couldn't respect him.
I'd probably just be invested in fantasy at that point.
I would lose total respect in that move, but I can't go without football at the same time.
I would switch teams. Teams.
I'm not watching. To who?
Shut the fuck up.
To wherever Jalen goes? Yeah.
No, you
Colts, man. All right. Well, we're pretty split on that one. Are you worried now that the news comes out that Carson is injured?
I'm tragically worried now.
Sucks for the first round.
He's not going to win the Super Bowl anymore.
See, me, Jackson, and Flair are worried about the pick. Brits is worried about.
Brits
is worried about the Colts and Wentz and
Even more glad we got rid of him.
Yeah. Which at the end of the day, like it's kind of good that we did, right?
Wait, did you guys hear about the thing that happened? Like apparently, like he had like a foot injury the entire time he was here.
What do you mean?
Apparently, it was
really?
he had like a foot injury the entire time he was here that never got like he should have had surgery on it, but he didn't.
Is that why he took all those sacks instead of throwing the ball away?
I don't know about
Just out
that,
of the
but
pocket?
apparently that's like a thing though, like a legitimate fact. He had
with the Colts, with the Colts, he actually wasn't gonna get surgery for this specific injury too. And they're like, no, you're going in, you're getting surgery, you're rehabbing. Like we're not playing that game. We just sent over a couple picks for you.
Yeah.
So I think he tried to play that again, but they weren't.
I don't know if it was his decision. I mean, it probably was his decision. But
then again,
he was trying to do it again.
The Colts are a well-run organization, so there you go.
No, I'm talking about when he was here. But
yeah, no, I know. Do we need, with Smith going out, with kind of this younger group of receivers, do we need to sign a veteran? And this is kind of the list of what we're seeing as the guys who are actually competent.
I don't think we want any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
I don't think we can.
Alshon, absolute no. Tate, absolute no. Stills maybe has something, but it's just not worth it. Just not.
So. I'd only want Stills if like Rager's really bad this year.
Yeah, I guess if you absolutely need something, maybe look into it. But other than that, it's just not worth it. He's 28, so he's not like he's too much over the hill.
Chicken, dude.
But he's no spring chicken. All right, and the final question. Wow, losing it. More faith. I hate to say this because I have faith in both. But if you had to pick one, who do you have more faith in?
Yeah, this is a loaded question, dude. I'm with you. I have full faith in both of them.
Yeah, I think
it's really tough. It's really tough. If I had to pick one, I would say that I would go with Sirianni right now. But
I feel like you have to go with Sirianni.
Just because I think Jalen has so much to prove to get over that hill, but they both do. They both do. So.
I have faith in both of them, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Sirianni just because he's led a good team,
I personally feel like we've seen Hurts in like a terrible offense producing like at least a little bit, so we have to have like some level of faith in him. We haven't seen Sirianni yet in like a bad situation trying to like get the team back together. Like who knows if we have like a losing start to the season, if he can bring the faith back in with everybody. Like his way that he acts, the way that he acts might like be seen differently at that point, and he might not be able to like get everybody back together, but he might at the same time. We just don't know yet. We haven't seen it. So I think just from what we've seen, I'm gonna say I have more faith in Hurts.
Yeah, I think you.
Well, I was saying I was saying because like he's already led the Colts to a winning season, multiple winning seasons. So like
Yeah, but how much?
I
mean, we don't know how much he had a hand in that success. I mean, probably a good amount.
I shouldn't say led, but like what I mean.
Attribute a lot of that to him, but. I think Jackson made a good point. I think we just got to see how he handles a bad situation because it is just training camp so far and just everything's new. So
it's all positivity right now.
It's all exciting. Yeah. It's all fun and games until you go 0-3 to start the season, and then everybody hates you in Philly because that's how
you get booed every day.
We know that's how we would react. So I mean, we'll just see. We'll see. Does the Sirianni Kool-Aid stand the test of time? So,
2 losses in, people are going to be calling for his head, and we got to see how he handles it.
Dude, we remember everyone's calling for Doug's head. Everyone's calling for Doug's head in his first season. Then we won the Super Bowl.
Yep. Just give it some time. Have some faith. All right, guys. We are launch and landing. Thank you guys for another Philly Escape Pod, episode 12. Stick with us till we get to the Eagles season.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Hit that bell, do all the fun stuff, and we're closing out today. And remember,
wait, we love you guys. Comment in the comments. Let us know who you want the Sixers to sign in free agency and what record you think the Eagles are going to have next season.
Especially with everything that now that you watched this pod, we gave you the full breakdown. So give us everything you got, and we'll see you next time.
So much knowledge.
Do it.
Peace out.
Later.